Hello and welcome to the world map in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and tonight we're gonna take a look at flying a short flight from, hopefully, from Stornoway to Benbecula. So Stornoway here on the island of Lewis down to Benbecula on North US. The wind today appears to be, this is ground level wind, I've got it set to, appears to be from the north, so Stornoway will probably want runway 36. Benbecula, yeah, I think it's is it 06, but we'll check that when we get nearer. So first of all, let's select our departure. So we can click on Stornoway. We can go set as departure. Now we don't want to be departing on the runway, so let's zoom to details. If you select the runway for departure, then you find that you sat on the runway with the engines already running. We want to do the startup ourselves. So let's pick one of these. I'm not quite sure all this many ramps at Stornoway, but let's pick ramp 67 and set as departure, and then that's changed. That should be us good to go. So I'm going to click fly. Now I'm not sure how this is all going to work out for the recording tonight. I've had a lot of trouble getting OBS, the recording tool I normally use for videos, to give me a decent frame rate when recording Flight Sim 2020 flights. I think that's because Flight Sim 2020 tries to use all my GPU and there's nothing left for the encoding or for OBS to even copy across the frames or whatever it needs to do, even if I try using one of the other encoders. So what I've had to do is go back to graphic settings for Flight Sim and basically turn on VSync and limit the frames to 30. I mean, I don't get a huge, normally I only get about 40 something anyway using this, a 1070 Ti, which is fine, but 30 might make it a bit more stuttery, so we shall see how it goes. But it's the only way I can find at the moment to get OBS to do anything sensible. Okay, and I was hoping we'd have a bit more cloud than this as well. I mean, this, let's click ready to fly. So the weather conditions we've got, I don't remember where they are. Got live weather and sort of just dialed the time back a little bit so it's not too dark. So we might just have to put up with that for now. So because I wanted to do this IFR and use the G1000 rather than visual, but we'll do that anyway. And yeah, so just pretend it's either cloudy or not cloudy. Right, the aircraft is the very nice G36 Bonanza with the Garmin glass cockpit. Absolutely superb machine. It's a little bit underpowered in Flight Sim 2020, but it flies very nicely, and I do like the I mean, I tend to be a fan of steam gauges, but I actually quite like this one. The simulator is pretty much as it is out of the box, apart from obviously binding controls. One thing I didn't like with the controls is for my joystick, which is the VKB Gladiator. Yeah, it didn't recognise that out of the box. I had to map it myself, which is fine. It's easy enough to search for controls and map them. But what I didn't like was having to dial back the sensitivity. So you can see here these two curves for ailerons and elevator. I've got this minus 50% sensitivity, and apparently that's what you get out of the box if it's a joystick that the sim recognises. And I found that without this, the control inputs were just ridiculously twitchy. You know, you'd just like sneeze on near the joystick, and you'd be nosediving to the ground. So I had to put this to minus 50%, where it seems to work fine. But then if I fly the A320, that seems then to require linear input. So I don't know why they're not all just linear like X-plane, but yeah. So it means that if I wanted then to go fly a different type of plane, like I said, the A320, I'd probably have to go in here and duplicate my profile and put the sensitivity back to defaults. But other than that, yeah, setup reasonably fine. Loading takes a while. Okay, let's get started up here. And so I'm going to put my parking brake on. I've bound that to the B key. It's not, I can't remember what it is by default. I'm just too used to B and X-plane being parking brake, so I bound that in the keyboard bindings. Parking brake is on. Batteries can come on. We can make sure our levers are in the full forward positions, and let's turn the beacon on before we do any engine related stuff. I am going to now just prime the fuel system by turning the fuel pump on for a few seconds. You'll see the fuel flow here goes up a bit, and that should do. Let's bring the throttle back now to about a little bit open, and we should hopefully be able to start. Excellent, we are running, and we want to about 1000 RPM. So let's just bring back the throttle a little bit, and we can lean a bit here while we're idling on the ground. So let's lean the mixture until we see this start to drop a bit. That'll do. Okay, it's basic startup. Now let's turn on all the avionics, and we can zoom out our map a little bit so we can see more where we're going. We'll be heading southwest towards Benbecula. This caution is for low voltage, so thank you for reminding me to turn the alternators on. So beacons on, alternators on, handbrakes on, we're alright for now. We're warming up quite nicely. Here's all the temperatures and pressures. Yes, let's open the cowl flaps just so that we're ready for takeoff. Don't forget to open them later. Actually, would you shut them for now? Maybe I'll shut them for now to let everything warm up, and then open them. I'll probably forget to open them then. While I'm here, I'm also going to put the trim to the kind of takeoff position of up around about 3. So in terms of nav, we haven't got anything set up. I'd like to do it with the VORs mainly, but to get us started with, I'll just put in a destination in the GPS, and let's just have a quick look at charts here. So we're up here in Stornoway, and we don't want you, thank you. We want to fly roughly southwest of Benbecula, and our target, if we're going to do a procedural approach, is going to be the VOR, BEN. So let's get BEN input here as a waypoint. So if we go flight plan, this is where I'm going to begin to struggle. Do we want this? No, we want to turn one of these, not that one. Let's turn this one. Thank you, not you. Why are we on numbers? Probably gone the wrong way. Okay, B. You can't get rid of these tooltips, I don't think. They're really annoying because they usually end up on top of the thing that you wanna see with the mouse. B E N. Bez from the Happy Mondays. BEN, okay, and now I think there's more than one BEN because it's certainly not 3,000 miles away. But let's see what happens when we press enter. We should get, yes, we got duplicates here. It's not that one, that's too far away. Let's go to the other VOR. Whoops, and that one's 55 miles away. That's more like it. Now there's no magenta line or anything at the moment because I guess we haven't really put the start output, so there's not a from and to. But what we can do is just go direct. I'm just going to go direct to Benbecula and activate. And now we have our magenta line to follow, and on here I'm going to set the CDI initially to GPS. Well, what we'll do is once we get up in the air and we can receive it, we'll tune in the Benbecula VOR and we'll navigate to that instead. Now then, do I want this little inset map thing on? I guess we could use that as a zoomed in view. Yeah, that could be handy. Let's leave that on zoomed in view and the other one on more zoomed out. The other things we'll do, transponder, let's get that. It's on 7,000, it's on standby, so that's okay for now. Yeah, CDI I shouldn't have touched. PFD is what I wanted, so I would like some wind, please. Like that. And I would like DME. It's like, yeah, nav 100. Oh, nav 1's not tuned in yet, is it? What is the frequency? Let's just tune it in. Benbecula 113.95. So let's just stick that there. Okay, it's not picking it up at the moment. That's fine. It knows it's Benbecula, but it's not. I don't think it's receiving it, and you wouldn't expect it to yet. We're too low down, too far away. So that's all good. We can have a bearing pointer as well for nav 1, which might come in handy when we get closer. there is a kind of locate. It's not an ILS. It's like a locator beacon at Benbecula as well. I don't think that works, so I think we'll just go with this one and try and hope that's good enough. Okay, are we ready to move? Not yet. We've got to set our altimeter now. There's one thing I don't like is I can change the pressure, not like I can see it because the stupid tooltip's on top of it. But there's no easy way that I know to find, like in X-Wing you can press I and get the current weather conditions. You know, it'll tell you the QNH and so on. There doesn't seem to be a way to do that. I mean, if I go weather, I just kind of get told it's live weather, but I've got a pressure reading here, 103. But this is unhelpfully in inches, and there's no way to switch it. The other way you could potentially do it is by going ATC and hoping there's an ATIS frequency, but there isn't, so we can't do that. So what we'll do is press Shift B to set the barometer. There we go, and cheat completely. I think the normal mapping is B, but since I stole that for braking, the handbrake, then I've mapped it to Shift B. So Shift B will auto set your barometer basically for you. Okay. Probably ready to start taxiing now. Now, looking at this handy little map here, you essentially just want to head out, turn left, backtrack a bit around runway 36, and then take off. So left and left, I think. What else do we need to check before we move? We're not going to need any flaps if we're on the main runway, and we might as well turn the pitot heat on now. And the thing that I'm gonna forget is the cowl flaps, so let's open them. Trim's already set, flaps are up. Okay, I think we're good to start to taxi. Let's get some head tracking. So I've just got open track with a simple webcam and, you know, LED clips on my headset, and that's just picked up and recognised, so that's just worked fine. So I'm going to head straight out here and try and avoid the chappie in front of me. I guess we can put the transponder on. Where is the transponder now? That one. That one. I can't see. Yeah. We'll put it on, and then put it on alt when we're ready to go. When we reach the runway. Okay, and we'll do a power checks somewhere before the runway. So let's put taxi light on, and we can release the parking brake. And bit of right rudder pedal, so try and avoid running anyone over. It's going to be closed. We just got away with it. So yeah, this I can tell that this 30 frames per second setting is not great because I can see kind of my sort of jittery panning, but you have to live with it for now to get the video recording to work. Oh yeah, that's terrible. That's like the frame. VSync seems to do the opposite of what you'd think VSync should do. But anyway, nice car park there. Some nice sort of shrubby grass. So we'll depart at heading bug. That's a good point. Let's go set the heading bug. The heading bug's already set pretty much north. Okay, I believe we're not at the end of runway 36. Should we backtrack or can we take off from here? Let's backtrack. We might be able to take off from here. Oh, we might risk it. Let's do our power checks and we'll have a look and see what it looks like. We probably shouldn't be right here for the power checks, but okay, mixture a bit more rich. 1700 RPM is what we're going to target. Turn the head tracking off for a second. Okay. Oops. That's probably close enough. And we're going to do magneto checks. So we're at 1670 there. 1660. Let's go to 1 magneto. And it's dropping a little bit. It drops quite slowly. Other magneto. It's staying down about 1610. And now let's go back to both. It should come back up. Which it does, though it's quite a subtle move, change in RPM, but there does seem to be one. The other thing we can do is cycle the prop pitch lever. So let's bring that back and look for about a 500 RPM drop, which seems to work nicely. And we'll try that one more time. Just make sure it's working and gets the oil circulating through the pitch change mechanism. Now, what else do we need to do before we go on the runway? Let's bring our RPMs back down to something sensible. Let's turn on the strobes, landing lights, taxi light can come off, transponder can go on alt, cowl flaps, trim all set. I think we're good to go. So I'm going to head out here and assume that we've got enough runway to take off without having to backtrack. Now at the moment, remember, we're just going to use the GPS navigation to start with. But so initially we'll fly runway heading and then make a slow right turn, come back round, and gradually line up. Actually, I mean, a left turn would be quicker, but I'd rather see out over the sea and the bay. So we'll turn to the right and come back gradually intercept our course. Okay, mixture full rich, props full forward. Power is coming up. Let's watch for our airspeed. Oil temperature and pressure looks good. Slowly advance that throttle. My head tracking has decided to go off center right now. Thank you. I'm going to be all over the runway now. Let's get that power up. We'll release the forward pressure. We'll rotate about 75. And we're up. Dab the brakes. Gear up. We're looking for a climb rate of about 80. Or climb speed of about 85 initially. Until we get to about the first 1,000 feet, then we climb it over about 100. We'll just ease back very slightly here on the power. Let's keep that nose up. Just trim up a bit more. Just keep on runway heading for now. Actually, about 500 feet, I think we can start a turn. And let's watch that climb rate. I mean, the scenery around here is really nice. Seems to be quite high quality resolution and good vegetation and so on. Whereas I've been really disappointed with the scenery around Orkney, for example, where Bing doesn't seem to have very good coverage for some reason. So around Orkney, around Kirkwall Airport, you've got patches of blue fields, you've got trees in the middle of, all around the airport where there shouldn't be any. It's almost like it doesn't really have very good mapping data for Orkney, whereas this looks great, especially all those little lochs and the sort of boggy, watery parts of the island. They show up really well. It's exactly what it's like. Okay. Climbing still very nicely. In fact, we're almost on track now, so I'm actually quite tempted just to turn the autopilot on. Before I do that, let's sync the heading. Now let's engage the autopilot, and if you just do that, it'll just hold your current pitch and keep your wings level. Gives you kind of time to think. Now, if we want to, we can engage nav mode, which we may as well do, since we're nearly on course anyway. And we'll keep climbing. If we want to, we can set an altitude. Let's go, say, 3,500 feet. I think if I set that and then engage flight level change mode, should carry on climbing at this sort of speed. Yeah, so what'll happen now is it'll hold our current speed and pitch to maintain that. At least that's the theory. Wow. Just turn head tracking off for a bit. Now, okay, what do we need to do to clean up? We need to turn off our landing lights. We could probably bring that propeller back to about 2500. We are going to lose some climb rate here, so let's tell it to go nose down a little bit, or nose up a little bit. Nose up. Yeah, so nose up's put our speed up, so we want nose down. Or maybe it just means down, yeah. So actually controlling the target airspeed here at the moment because of the mode we're in, and in fact we're nearly at, oh no, we're going for 3,500, not 3,000, so it's okay. Let's just have a quick look outside. Nice shot there of the airport behind us, and port of Stornoway. That's meant to be Stornoway Castle, I think. I'm not sure if that's... I'm not sure if there are that many sort of officey looking slab buildings, and I don't really think that looks like a castle. So I mean, whereas Orbix we probably have that nailed, but on the other hand, the overall sort of look and feel of the land and the water and the roads is, and the lighting is absolutely superb. Right, we should be levelling off for 3,500 feet in a second. And we're in alt mode, yeah, so we've captured. I think we'll leave it, as it is a bit underpowered in the sim, I'm going to leave it about 25 inches for the cruise, and just going to bring the prop back a little bit. We're not speeding up much here. Am I missing something? Have I left the gear up? No. Have I got flaps out? Nope. I do have the car flaps open though, and temperatures, let's close them. Gradually speeding up. I say the real aircraft would probably be more like, well, the real one. The one I fly next plane would probably be more like up at 130, 140 by now. In fact, do we have a headwind? Yeah, we do have a headwind. So yeah, well, that shouldn't affect our airspeed. Speed is rather slow. I may be missing something tonight because it's normally quicker. Let's lean a bit. There's no leaning by exhaust gas temperature. Isn't really possible because that isn't actually on here, I don't think. So just gonna lean by fuel flow. Let's lean it a bit. And in fact, now we're speeding up, so maybe there was something off with the mixture being fully rich. Yeah, doesn't like that. Okay, fair enough. Maybe we need to lean for peak power and then lean a bit more. Okay, that's better. Let's now have a look at how we're gonna. I think are we actually even at an MSA here? Are we safe? 3,700. Is that right? According to the chart, I think we'll be all right. We can keep a look at it. It's quite visual. So for our arrival in Benbecula, let's have a look at some charts now. Interestingly enough, the wind here is a headwind. And the wind on here, does that make any sense? If that's wind and this is north up, and the wind's coming from the north. Whereas, yeah, let's not worry about that for now. Let's assume the wind's from the north. And okay, let's look at charts. So we're going to go for runway 06 at Benbecula, essentially coming in from here, heading out and turning back in for our arrival on 06. So we want one of these two procedures for runway 6, VOR DME basically. I'm not quite sure what the difference between the Z. One of them's using this other locator beacon. I don't think that works in Flight Sim 2020, so let's just go for this one. So you can see the initial approach fix is the VOR, and depending on the direction you're coming in from, you may have to fly a hold and then fly out on 257 radial and then back in. Our current heading is 223 degrees, so we're kind of coming down like this, so it's almost pointless going into the hold. We're almost within 30 degrees of the outbound track, so I'm just going to fly to the beacon and then go straight outbound. So, back in the flight deck for a minute. Cockpit. Flight deck's probably wrong for this sort of plane. Let's change now. As we've got the Benbecula, we've got nav 1 here. We could actually see if we can hear the Morse code, although generally I find this is quite quiet. And also I've pressed nav 2, which isn't going to help. Let's go for nav 1. Yep. Not sure if you can hear it, but it's certainly very faint. It should be this Morse pattern that's shown here. Yep, I think that's right. Okay, so we can now, if we want to, we can switch. So let's get heading set up. What I've found is that the keyboard binding for heading, which is the same one that I kind of use the home, the insert and delete keys, but you have to press control with it in this one. It's kind of the same as the binding I use in X-Plane, but I find that on the keyboard, for some reason, it jumps in 10-degree increments, and that's what other people have reported as well, depending on your joysticks and things apparently. Because if you click to the left of heading, you can move it in 1 degree. So let's just get ourselves aligned on heading, and then we'll go heading mode. And while we're in heading mode, we can switch the CDI to be VOR1, and if we turn the course for VOR1, we should be able to line up on it and fly directly to it. This is the course, isn't it? It's very difficult with these pop-up things. I just want to get the course lined up. Actually, is it left? No, it's right we need to go. It's almost impossible. Yeah. Let's go for that. We'll go back to nav mode now. So now we're navigating direct to the VOR. Actually, we could come in, except we're not, are we? We seem to have gone kind of randomly off course. I think I may turn nav mode off and go back to heading mode. Helps if you have the right end of the needle pointing the way you want to go. Okay, ridiculous. So, slight detour. Let's try that again with one I prepared earlier. That's better. Only this time, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get us onto a course that's going to bring us in exactly 30 degrees off the outbound course of 257. So let's go for 227. So let's just turn that. Oops. It's difficult to do. It's almost impossible, especially with the stupid things in the way. Oh, that's 229 now, going past it. 224. I wish the keyboard I wish I could work out the cable bindings to move in increments of 1. This is really not worth the bother. Right, 227. Okay, I'm going to nav onto that, but before, just to give it a bit of a help, let's just change our heading to get ourselves closer to the offset lining up with the course. So the bearing pointer lines up. We'll just track into it and then we'll go back to nav mode. And then we'll be on a nice intercept course that takes us 30 degrees. The airport's over here somewhere. That's if we ever intercept. I think it's because I had that bearing pointer on as well that I got confused with which end of the needle was which. We are gradually coming in now. So the course offset bar should be coming in to line up. And with our course of 227. What speed are we? Yeah, we see we're up to about 140 now, which is not bad, but these sort of settings, 25 inches, we should be faster than that. Ooh, there's some little places down there. Some roads. Right, where are we? Still not lined up. I don't really want to hit nav and go way off to the side. No, it's okay. We're coming in. We'll just let it. We'll let it slowly. It is coming in now. The other thing we need to do is figure out what altitude we need to be at. So according to the chart, we need to be at 3,100 feet at the VOR. So I'm going to tune my turn the altitude setting selected down to 3,100. Which isn't much of a descent since we're only at 3.5. I mean the MSA is 3.1, so we're okay. In fact the MSA where we are is about 2.7, so we're pretty close now to the radial that we want to be on. Yeah, no clouds tonight. So really we could do a nice visual approach, but I'm going to stick with the plan. It's like a small dog's been trying to get out or something. Scratch the window. Okay, I'm going to switch to nav mode now, as we're almost online. If I can find the nav key, it's quite hard to read from back there. There we go. And again, okay, it's quite a violent intercept there, but I'll let it off for that, I suppose. Should have left it in heading mode a bit longer. Oh, turn off this Morse as well now. I don't think we got any ATIS or anything for Benbecula. Nope. I don't know if Scottish Centre would give us anything. So yeah, over here somewhere is there's the airport. So, on the map, where are we? Well, we're here, aren't we? I mean, we can see that we've got all this sort of very broken up landscape with lots of little bodies of water and sea inlets and so on coming up. There's some hills here, which is why you've got to be careful if you're with your approach. But yeah, the airport's sort of roughly over here somewhere. Over here, actually. So we'll fly in and then fly out on a 257. Turn to the left and then hopefully be approximately lined up. Although it does say the final approach track is 4 degrees off runway centerline, so we'll have to correct for that. But given we got plenty of visibility tonight, it shouldn't be a problem. Let's have a look outside again. Oh yeah, that's actually a much better view that way. North. no, that's Harris, isn't it? The mountains of Harris. And we're going to cross the sound here to North Uist. And out there somewhere is St Kilda. We don't need to worry too much about descending because we've only got 400 feet to descend, so we can almost just do that as, you know, within like a mile of the mile or two of the DME. We've got 19 to run. So yeah, generally, I kind of mixed feelings about this sim compared to X-Plane. I mean, obviously visually out of the box, it's great having, you know, scenery like this pretty much in theory anywhere that you go in the world, although with some caveats. Like I say, don't go to Orkney at the moment because it's quite disappointing, especially around Kirkwall Airport, and the north of Shetland has some ridiculous terrain mapping on it with some pyramid hills that definitely shouldn't be there. So that's a kind of negative. I mean, the other kind of negatives are some of the landmarks that are just not there, or, you know, Autogen that hasn't modelled things correctly, like castles that are just office blocks, or the fact that there's no fourth road bridge or rail bridge if you go near Edinburgh. There's no, I don't think there's an Edinburgh castle. I mean, those things are pretty jarring. But on the other hand, if you don't look at those individual things, but you just consider the whole scenery, like so that you can see where individual cities, rivers, etc. are, and the fact that you've got buildings. I mean, although the buildings may be wrong, they are quite nicely rendered and shadowed and everything. So I think on the whole it is really good, and it's quite hard to go back to X-Plane with the visuals of this, and also the fact that I normally get a really good frame rate on this as well, without trying too hard. So yeah, I mean, when the game installed, it kind of recommended high-end settings. I mean, I say I've only got a 1070 Ti, so it wouldn't be able to go above that anyway. I pretty much left it on all the settings that it defaulted to. The only thing I changed, I think, was I turned down the trees, because I can't stand too many trees, especially in bits of Scotland. So I think I notched them down 1 or 2 notches. So what these hills are. I'm not sure. So the airport should be, that's that thing there, is it? Somewhere here. Is it here? Am I completely wrong? Or here? We'll find out soon, as we're only 12 miles away now. It's a very clear evening. Of course, none of these things open. I think some of the lights work. Ooh. Do those move? Certainly the lights in the front work. The taxi light and the landing light are pretty poor at night. The taxi light kind of almost gives you enough to see, but the landing lights don't seem to do much. Now then, we better start thinking about what we're going to do when we get to the VOR, because we have to change course, so we might as well have our heading bug synced. Again, that isn't synced, is it? Synced would be if it was straight, surely. I'm not quite sure what that's doing. So we'll go to heading mode, and then we'll change the VOR course to 257. Let's just get the chart back as a reminder. So yeah, we're coming in 227 to the VOR, right turn 257 out until 7 DME, going by the readout, and then left turn. And we can probably start descending now, to be honest. So fact, let's get some speed off a little bit. So let's throttle back. And we'll go flight level change. And we should just start descending anyway if we throttle back. To run. So the airport, in fact, is there. Is that right? Yep. Okay, cool. We hit 3,100 in plenty of time, and then we'll probably let our speed come back to about 120. I'll maybe bring the let's leave the prop where it is. Actually going to be heading out into that sun. Yes, it's going to be a lot easier to see them when we turn back into the airport. There's a road that manages to get through this lot somewhere running north to south. Oh, there are some causeways though, aren't there? Maybe some of them there. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah. So let's just watch our speed now. I'll let it bleed back to about 120. When we're about half a mile from the VOR, we will begin our turn outbound. Let's just get that heading in the right place, so when we switch to heading mode, three miles to go. There's a definite causeway there. Ooh, fuel. We need to switch fuel tanks. I should have done that sooner. It's probably about every 15-20 minutes you meant to do that. So let's go to the right fuel tank. Because you can see here with the fuel usage gauges that we've used a lot more fuel now from the left tank than the right tank. So that's... should have remembered that earlier. Now where are we? 1.7 miles. Yep, we're nearly over the VOR. So we can shortly start to turn to 257 degree radial. I'm going to go heading mode now, and then I'm going to, when we're at half a mile, I'm going to turn the heading round to as close to 257 as I can get, and then that'll give me a chance to adjust the VOR radial as well. Okay. Half a mile, let's go 257 on the heading on a right turn, and let's adjust the course to 257. Oops, that was not what I meant to press. And now we can't get back in. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm now stuck outside. I have a key binding. That should take me inside the cockpit. For some reason, it's decided to put me outside. I don't know the... what's the other one? Insert? Ah, phew. Okay. Yeah, we're not far off track actually. That was lucky. Let's hit nav. Should find now that the airport is behind us. There it is, and we're flying out now on the 257. And you can see that's the runway we're landing on, so we fly out this way, then we make a turn and we come back in, and we should be nicely lined up. I think I'm gonna go back onto head tracking now. Okay, cool. Now we need to be descending here to 1700 feet, so we're probably a bit behind, so let's get on with it. So let's select 1700 on the alt. And we will go flight level change, and we will just pull that power back. We need to be at 1700 by 7 DME. So we might want to expedite slightly, so in fact I might drop the gear for a bit just to get us going down a bit faster. And let's shift B the... so it's like we're on standard settings. Are we on live weather still? Yep. Cool. So 5 miles already, so we'll soon be turning. Just maybe pull that power back a bit more. Lovely evening here. Yeah, I think I must have gone into drone camera mode or something there. So when we get to 7 miles, we need to make a left turn to 64 degrees. So we'll want to go back into heading mode, which we're about to do, and then turn left to 64 degrees. Okay, that's 7 miles. Heading mode and 64 degree course. The other thing we want is our VOR radius, VOR needle to be at 64 as well, so let's get that back round as well. 67, 65, ooh, 64, excellent. Okay, now we're down at 1700 and we're losing all our speed, so let's get some power back on. Yeah, we're way too nose up. Should have been watching the speed there. Now, the runway's over there, so we're so considerably off. That's because we're not in nav mode for a start. But even then we're going to be 4 degrees off, so we will have to just probably fly it manually in a minute. We need to start descending at 5.5 DME, 6.5, so that's soon. So I don't want to get too much speed back, so because we'll probably just engage flaps. We'll kind of let it intercept this course. Or maybe get the alt down again. Let's get the alt down ready. I don't know what our decision height is. Let's call it 300 for now. And it should be turning on to what's going to be our best final course, although it won't line up exactly. And we need to start descending now, so we're under 5.5. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the autopilot now and just fly it manually. So let's start descending. So let's pull the power back a bit. We're about 600 feet per minute, I think, according to the chart. And we could actually put let's get the power back and let's get some flaps in. We've still got a gear down, haven't we? I forgot to put that back up again, so we've already done that bit. So we've already got some drag out. Let's get over and get lined up. I don't know what that is in front of the runway. Is that a wind turbine? I don't think that's there in real life. Get a notch of flaps in now. And we're looking for a final speed of about 80 here. Gosh, that wind turbine's cutting it fine, isn't it? Landing lights. Props can come forward now, mixture can come rich. Increase the power a bit. Actually not really, because we want to be slowing down, so let's pitch up instead. Probably a bit high at the moment. We get down to about 100, then we'll put the final flaps in. Yeah, we are a bit high, but it doesn't matter too much. We are going to have to miss this wind turbine. I'm not sure whether to fly to the left or the right of it, to be honest, or between the blades. Let's try and pitch for about 80 now. Can keep powering. We don't want to. I find that if this thing, once you've lost the speed, it's very hard on the sort of approach to get it back again. So I am going to have to fly to the right here though, because I don't really fancy getting chopped up by wind turbine, which I'm pretty sure isn't there, or at least I'm not sure you'd really get. I hope you wouldn't get planning permission to put one that near an approach path. So we'll correct. We are we're losing speed here a bit, so let's put some. I think we're alright. I think we can dive in between the blades now. Again, let's get that speed back. We are a bit slow. We're okay on the pappies. I'm just going to pull back next to it. Pull out the power back because we are going to be a bit long otherwise. Now let's start looking at the end of the runway. Let it come down. Is it power off now? And let's keep our eyes on the end of the runway. A bit of a firm landing. This one didn't work too well. I think I took the power off a bit too early there. Yeah, flared a bit too high. I'm not sure if this is a taxiway or a runway. We may be able to use it. So flaps can come up and transponder can go standby. We are kind of on a runway, so I'll leave the strobes on, but I'll put the taxi light on. There's that sort of a peaty ground effect. If it is, it's quite nice. Or is it water? Hard to tell. Not quite sure where the airport I think it's over there, isn't it? So we'll look for something to taxi to the right. Yeah, let's go over here. So welcome to Benbecula. It would have been better to have had some clouds for the kind of procedural approach there, but still. And there is that wind turbine again. And now we can turn strobes off, pitot heat can come off. Taxi light will leave on, landing lights can come off. We can probably turn off the second avionics. Just pull in here somewhere on the left and park. Can we get down where that other aircraft is? Rather than going in by the hangars, let's try that. Yeah, it looks okay. fact, we could park on the right, where there are some people waiting for us. Ooh, I don't really know how you do these signal things. I think I know the one that means kind of stop, but I'm probably so out of position that... Oh no, he is going to give me that. Great, okay, well done. I managed to stop. Okay, handbrake on, head tracking off. We can turn... let's turn the engine, let's cut the fuel, props back to feathered, and switches can come off. Well, let's leave the trim in the right position for next time. We've got things up, car flaps closed. Yeah, fine, we can turn it off. So there we are. Welcome to Benbecula, and hope you enjoyed the flight. So it would have been nice to have had some more IFR weather, but yeah, it was entertaining nonetheless. And I hope this recording has worked. It's the first one I've done for Flight Sim 2020. So we shall see you again, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.